When I picked up the phone to ask my son Daniel when his wedding would be, I expected hesitation, maybe excitement, maybe even nerves. Instead, my daughter-in-law Sophia looked straight at me, held my gaze without blinking, and smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was sharp, measured, almost rehearsed. "Oh," she said casually, as if commenting on the weather, "we already got married yesterday. We only invited special people." For a moment, I didn't understand what she meant. My brain struggled to catch up, as though the words had been spoken in another language. Then they landed, slowly, painfully, like ice water poured down my spine. Special people. I stood there in the living room of my own house, still holding the phone, my fingers stiff around it. It suddenly felt impossibly heavy, as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. My chest tightened. My ears rang. For 3 years, I had paid their monthly rent, $500 every single month, without delay. I had bought every piece of furniture in their apartment, the couch, the dining table, the bed they slept in. I had filled their refrigerator countless times when they had nothing to eat. I had made sure they were warm in winter and comfortable in summer. And yet, I was not special. Daniel wouldn't look at me. He stared at the floor like a child caught in a lie. Sophia, on the other hand, made herself comfortable, sitting down on the sofa I had purchased with my own money. She crossed her legs slowly, confidently, as if she had just delivered good news. In my bedroom closet, hanging untouched, was the pale pink dress I had bought especially for her wedding. I had chosen it carefully, imagining the photographs, me standing proudly beside my son, smiling, finally feeling included. The shoes were still in their box. The tags were still on the dress. I had spent $200 on it, picturing myself in Daniel's wedding photos. Photos I would never be in. For weeks, I had planned everything. I had set aside $1,000 to give them as a wedding gift. I had called my sister Evelyn in Chicago, her voice filled with joy when I told her my son was getting married. I had scrubbed my house from top to bottom, believing they might come celebrate with me afterward. Every plan collapsed in a single second. Only special people. Daniel finally lifted his head. "Mom," he said, his voice flat and practiced. "It was just a small thing. Very intimate. Just the two of us and the witnesses." I nodded slowly, but inside, something broke. Because I knew it was a lie. Later that night, I saw the photos online. I saw Sophia's parents standing proudly beside the bride and groom. I saw her siblings laughing, raising champagne glasses. I saw her white wedding dress, the one I had unknowingly helped pay for with the $800 I gave her the month before for personal expenses. I saw everything I was never meant to see. Exactly 7 days later, my phone rang again. This time, Sophia's voice was different. Gone was the confidence. Gone was the smile I had seen that day. Now, she sounded desperate, almost frightened. "Margaret," she said quickly, "the rent is overdue. The landlord is threatening us. He says if we don't pay this week, we'll be evicted. You forgot to make the transfer." Her voice trembled, as if the world were ending. I didn't answer right away. Instead, memories flooded in. Every rushed trip to the bank, every canceled appointment, every night I ate cheap meals so they could live comfortably. Every sacrifice I made quietly, without complaint. After they excluded me from the most important moment of their lives, they still felt entitled to my help. "Sophia," I finally said, my voice calm and steady, "didn't I tell you? I only help special people." The silence on the line was unbearable. I don't understand," she stammered. "We are special to you. You're like a second mother to me." I closed my eyes. Lies. Beautifully wrapped lies. The same voice she used when she needed money, for the wedding dress, the rings, the honeymoon. The same voice I had trusted for years. For so long, I had lived carefully, afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of upsetting them. I gave and gave, hoping for affection, hoping for gratitude, hoping to feel needed. I was the perfect mother, the accommodating mother-in-law, the silent provider. But those words, "only special people," woke something inside me. That night, I sat on my bed and cried. Not from sadness, but from anger. From years of swallowing humiliation. From realizing how much of myself I had lost trying to be indispensable to people who considered me disposable. By morning, something had changed. I looked at myself in the mirror. The same tired eyes. The same wrinkles earned through decades of giving. But now, there was clarity. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I had once counted money for their expenses. This time, I opened my bank statements. The numbers didn't lie. Rent, $18,000. Food, $7,200. Gifts, $3,000. Medical expenses, $800. Unpaid car loan, $2,500. Repairs, $600. Furniture, $1,200. $33,400. Money taken from my retirement. From the inheritance my late husband Thomas left, so I could live peacefully. My phone rang. Daniel's name appeared. I let it ring. Then Sophia called. I let that ring too. A message followed. I deleted it. That afternoon, I went for a walk for no one but myself. For the first time in months, I wasn't running errands for them. I walked slowly, breathing deeply, remembering the park where I once held Daniel's hand as a child. When I returned home, 3 cars were parked outside. Daniel's, Sophia's, and a stranger's. They still had keys. I stood at the door, hand on the handle, knowing that the woman who walked inside would no longer be the same woman who had been excluded from a wedding. This was only the beginning. I had learned. That realization came to me quietly, standing in the cemetery as I cleaned my late husband Thomas's grave. I removed the wilted flowers and replaced them with fresh ones, brushing soil from the stone with slow, deliberate movements. I stayed there for more than an hour, not speaking, not praying, simply breathing. For the first time in years, I felt no urgency to rush home. No panic. No sense that another crisis was waiting for me to solve for Daniel and Sophia. The silence felt earned. When I finally drove back, I saw them again. 3 cars were parked in front of my house. My heart jumped, but only for a moment. This time, I was prepared. I stayed in my car and opened the security app on my phone. The cameras showed Daniel, Sophia, and 2 strangers I didn't recognize. They were pacing, arguing, pointing at my home as if it belonged to them. I didn't get out. Instead, I called Mr. Grant, my lawyer. "They're here again," I said calmly. This time, they brought other people. "Do not leave your car, Mrs. Hale," he replied immediately. "I'm on my way. I'll also notify the police. After yesterday, I filed for a temporary restraining order. They have no right to be on your property." Minutes later, 2 police patrol cars arrived, followed shortly by Mr. Grant. I watched through the windshield as officers spoke to Daniel. I saw him gesturing angrily, his hands cutting the air. Sophia cried again, but her tears no longer stirred anything in me. One officer approached my car. "Ma'am, you can step out safely. Your visitors are leaving immediately." As I stepped out, Daniel shouted from the street, "Mom, this is ridiculous. We're your family. You called the police on your own son." I looked at him steadily. "Family doesn't threaten lawsuits to steal control of someone's life," I said. "Family doesn't break into homes. Family doesn't treat their mother like an ATM." Sophia screamed from across the street. "You're going to pay us what you owe. We have bills you co-signed. You can't abandon us." Mr. Grant stepped forward calmly. "Any further communication must go through my office," he said firmly. "And I strongly advise you to consult an attorney before making threats. My client has complete documentation of every voluntary payment made over the past 3 years." They left angry, defeated, but not finished. I knew that. Yet for the first time, I felt steady. I had legal protection. I had emotional support from Eleanor, from myself. Most importantly, I had clarity. That evening, Eleanor invited me to dinner. Her daughter was visiting, and I watched them interact with a quiet ache. They spoke with respect. They laughed. They asked about each other's lives without expectation. No one asked for money. I wanted that with Daniel, I admitted softly after her daughter left. Maybe one day, Eleanor said gently. But first, he is to learn that you're a person deserving of respect, not a source of income. That night, I slept peacefully. The following days were tense, but quiet. The cameras showed Daniel and Sophia driving past my house repeatedly. Sometimes they slowed. Sometimes they parked nearby. They never got out. Mr. Grant advised me to document everything. Their persistence strengthens our case, he said. They're building evidence against themselves. Then, on Friday morning, the doorbell rang. On the camera was a well-dressed young woman holding a folder, her posture formal, her smile professional. "Good morning, Mrs. Hale," she said when I opened the door. "I'm a social investigator from the Office of Senior Services. We've received a report that you may be at risk." My blood ran cold. Daniel and Sophia had escalated things. I checked her identification carefully. It was legitimate. "I'm Mrs. Schmidt, a social worker," she said. "May I come in?" I let her in. Refusing would only have worsened matters. She sat in my living room and began reading from her file. "We've received concerns that you've made sudden financial changes, cut off communication with your family, installed unnecessary security systems, and refused medical and legal assistance from loved ones." Every word was calculated. I recognized Sophia's influence immediately. "I'd like to call my lawyer before answering questions," I said. "If you have nothing to hide." That phrase, I interrupted calmly, is often used by people who invade boundaries. "I'm calling my lawyer." Mr. Grant arrived within 20 minutes. After reviewing her ID, his expression hardened. "Unless you have a court order," he said, "this visit constitutes harassment. My client is under legal representation." Mrs. Schmidt hesitated. He laid out the evidence: the financial exploitation, the emotional manipulation, the false accusations. Slowly, her confidence dissolved. "Why did you stop supporting your son financially?" she finally asked me. "Because I realized I wasn't a mother to them," I said simply. "I was a bank account." After further questioning and documentation, she closed her folder. "I see no risk here," she said. "This case will be closed." But it wasn't over. Weeks later, Mr. Grant came to my house with grim news. "They've filed a lawsuit," he said. "They're requesting guardianship, claiming mental incompetence." My own son was trying to legally erase my autonomy. What followed was the hardest fight of my life. They fabricated witnesses, twisted facts, manipulated professionals, even tricked my pharmacist into signing a misleading statement. But we uncovered the truth. We gathered evidence. We prepared. The trial came 3 weeks later. Daniel wouldn't meet my eyes. Sophia looked at me like an enemy. Their lawyer painted me as confused, manipulated, unstable. Then we told the truth. Doctors testified. Friends testified. Neighbors testified. Finally, I did. "I stopped paying," I said clearly, "because I realized love should not require a monthly transfer." The courtroom fell silent. When Judge Miller returned after deliberation, his words were firm and final. "This court finds Mrs. Margaret Hale fully competent. The request for guardianship is denied." I had won, not just legally but spiritually. That night, we celebrated. We laughed. We cried. And in the months that followed, I rebuilt my life. I sold my house, moved to the city, donated to causes protecting elders from abuse, traveled, painted, lived. I never heard from Daniel or Sophia again. And some nights, standing on my balcony beneath the stars, I think of the woman I once was. She is gone. In her place stands someone free. True love has no price. And freedom is worth everything.